An AI answer can sound certain and still have no proof. Grounding fixes that by tying important claims to evidence outside the model's memory. Here is the flow. A question enters, the system retrieves trusted sources, reads the relevant passages, and builds the answer from that evidence. The source constrains what the answer should say. A citation is the visible pointer back to that source. It might look like bracket 1 after a claim. Tap it, and you should reach the exact passage that supports those words. Suppose you ask, "Can I return worn shoes?" The source says worn items are accepted within 30 days. A grounded answer says, "Yes, within 30 days," and attaches citation 1. Now the claim, the citation, and the source passage form a checkable chain. Grounding and citations are related, but they are not identical. Grounding makes evidence influence the answer. Citations expose the link so a person can verify it. And a citation is not automatically correct. Check that the passage really supports the claim, that the source is current, and that the source is trustworthy. Simple version. Grounding makes the answer evidence-based. Citations make the evidence inspectable. Coming next, knowledge graphs, mapping entities and relationships. Text can mention facts, but a knowledge graph shows how facts connect. It stores entities as nodes and relationships as labeled edges. Here, Ada Lovelace is a person. She wrote the first algorithm, which belongs to the analytical engine. Now the system can follow a path instead of matching loose words. Ask, who wrote an algorithm for the analytical engine? The graph travels from the engine to the algorithm, then to Ada. That structure supports search, recommendations, and reasoning across connected facts. But a graph is only as trustworthy as its links. A wrong edge can create a confident wrong path. Simple version, documents hold sentences, knowledge graphs hold entities plus relationships. Coming next, pre-training, broad pattern learning before specialization. A model can answer your question today because it spent months learning patterns before anyone taught it your specific task. That first broad learning phase is pre-training. During pre-training, a model processes enormous collections of text, code, images, or other data. It repeatedly predicts a missing or next piece, compares the prediction with the real piece, then adjusts its internal weights. One example teaches almost nothing. Billions of examples gradually shape a general pattern map. Imagine the phrase, "the cat sat on the..." At first, many endings look possible. After seeing language patterns again and again, the model gives Matt a stronger probability than engine. The same loop also builds patterns for grammar, facts, style, reasoning steps, and relationships between ideas. Pre-training is broad, not specialized. It creates a base model with general capabilities, but it does not guarantee reliable instructions, safe behavior, or expertise in your private workflow. Those behaviors can be shaped later through fine-tuning, preference training, prompting, or retrieval. And pre-training is not a database lookup. The model compresses patterns into weights. It does not keep a perfect copy of every example. That is why it can generalize, but also why it can be wrong. Simple version, pre-training turns massive experience into a general pattern learner before specialization begins. Coming next, training data, the examples that shape model behavior. Training data is the collection of examples a model learns from. Every sample becomes evidence about which patterns deserve attention. Show a balanced set of cats and dogs, and the model can learn both. Feed it mostly cats, and its predictions tilt toward cats, even when the new example is a dog. Quality matters too. Duplicates can over-amplify one pattern. Wrong labels teach wrong associations. Private or toxic material can be repeated later. So teams collect, filter, label, deduplicate, and document data before training. More data is not automatically better data. Coverage, accuracy, permission, and balance shape the model's strengths, blind spots, and risks. Simple version, the examples a model sees shape what it can learn and what it repeats. Coming next, synthetic data, machine-made examples and their risks. Synthetic data is training material created by a machine instead of collected from the real world. Imagine a rare crash scenario. Real examples are scarce, so a simulator generates thousands of labeled variations: day, night, rain, and snow. That can fill gaps, protect private records, and test edge cases safely. But synthetic does not mean automatically accurate. If the generator misses reality, its blind spots multiply. A biased seed can produce a polished-looking biased dataset. Teams should compare synthetic samples with real evidence, measure coverage, and keep humans checking failures. Use synthetic data to supplement reality, not silently replace it. Simple version, machines can make useful practice examples, but those examples need reality checks. Coming next, reinforcement learning, learning from rewards. Reinforcement learning is learning through consequences. An agent observes a state, chooses an action, then receives a reward or a penalty. That feedback does not label the perfect answer. It scores what happened. Over many attempts, the agent updates its policy, the rule it uses to choose actions. Imagine a robot at a fork. One path earns 10 points, the other loses 2. Exploration tests unfamiliar moves. Exploitation repeats what already works. Balance both, and useful behavior grows. But reward design matters. A bad score can teach shortcuts instead of the real goal. Simple version: act, get feedback, adjust, repeat. Coming next, RLHF, using human feedback to tune behavior. RLHF means reinforcement learning from human feedback. It tunes a model toward behavior people prefer. First, the model produces several possible answers to the same prompt. Human reviewers compare them and choose which response is better. Those preferences become training examples for a reward model. The reward model learns to score new answers. Helpful, honest, and safe answers score higher. Misleading or harmful answers score lower. Then the language model generates an answer, receives the learned score, and updates its policy to earn better rewards. Repeat the loop, and preferred behavior becomes more likely. But RLHF does not make a model perfectly aligned. Human judgments can be inconsistent, biased, or incomplete. Simple version: people rank answers. A reward model learns the ranking, and the AI adjusts. Coming next, alignment, matching behavior to human intent and boundaries. Alignment means making an AI system's behavior match human intent and boundaries. A user asks for a useful answer. The model can produce many possible responses. Alignment steers those possibilities toward what people actually want: helpful, honest, and safe. Imagine a compass. Human intent sets the direction. The model's response is the moving needle. When the needle drifts toward a harmful shortcut, boundaries push it back. Teams shape this behavior with instructions, human feedback, safety rules, and repeated evaluations. But alignment is not a one-time switch. Human values can conflict, situations change, and no rule covers every case. So we test behavior, find the gap, adjust the system, and test again. Simple version: intent sets the target. Alignment keeps behavior on course. Coming next, multimodal AI, models that work across text, image, audio, and video. Multimodal AI understands more than one kind of signal. Text carries words, images carry pixels, audio carries sound, video carries change over time. A multimodal model maps these different inputs into one shared space where their meaning can connect. Show it a photo and ask, what is happening? The image supplies the scene, the text supplies the question. Together, the model can answer, a cyclist is crossing the bridge. It can also hear a request, inspect a screen, and choose an action. The power is combination. One modality fills gaps left by another. But mixed signals can still mislead, so every modality needs careful testing. Simple version: many input types, one connected understanding. Coming next, vision models, turning pixels into usable patterns. Vision models turn pixels into patterns a machine can reason over. An image starts as a grid of numbers, brightness and color, pixel by pixel. The model scans small regions, finding edges, textures, and shapes. Deeper layers combine those clues into objects and relationships. Wheel, road, cyclist. Then the model can classify what it sees, locate an object, or describe the whole scene. But vision is not human sight. Blur, unusual angles, or biased training images can change the answer, so test across real conditions. Simple version: pixels become patterns, patterns become meaning. Coming next, speech models, converting between sound, text, and voice. Speech models turn sound into language and language back into voice. A microphone captures a waveform, pressure changing over time. Speech recognition reads that waveform and predicts text. It maps sound patterns to words even when speakers, accents, and background noise vary. Text to speech runs the other direction. It converts written words into a new waveform that sounds spoken. Some models can also preserve rhythm, emotion, or a speaker-like style. Together, these systems can listen, transcribe, respond, and speak. But fluent audio is not proof of truth. Names, numbers, and noisy recordings still need checking. Simple version: speech models connect sound, text, and voice-like output. Coming next, diffusion models, generating by removing noise. Diffusion models create by learning how to remove noise. During training, a clean image is corrupted step by step until only static remains. The model studies each step and learns which noise should be removed. At generation time, the direction reverses. Start with random noise. Predict a little noise, subtract it, and repeat. A rough shape appears, then structure, then detail. The text prompt guides every denoising step toward the requested image. Diffusion does not reveal a hidden picture already inside the static. It builds a new sample through many small corrections. More steps can improve detail, but they also cost more time. Simple version, noise goes in, guided denoising turns it into an image. Coming next, latent space, the hidden map of features a model uses. Latent space is a compressed map of hidden features inside an AI model. Instead of storing every pixel, the model places examples by useful traits. Similar objects land close together. Different features become directions, rounder, brighter, more detailed. An encoder compresses an input into coordinates. Those coordinates keep meaning while dropping unnecessary detail. Move through the map and features change smoothly. A decoder turns a point back into an image, sound, or other output. Generative models sample this hidden map to create new combinations. Simple version, latent space is where meaning becomes geometry. Coming next, video generation models, generating motion and continuity over time. Video generation models create sequences, not isolated pictures. A single image only needs one convincing moment. Video must keep objects consistent as time moves forward. The model begins with noisy frames. It predicts motion across space and time, then denoises the whole sequence together. A text prompt guides what appears. A timeline guides what changes next. If each frame were generated alone, faces, shapes, and backgrounds would flicker. Temporal attention links nearby frames, so the same subject can move without changing identity. More frames demand more memory and more compute. Simple version, image models create a moment. Video models create a moment that stays coherent through motion. Coming next, open weights versus closed models. Downloadable models versus provider-only models. Open weights and closed models describe how you can access an AI model. With open weights, the learned parameter files can be downloaded. You can run them on your own hardware, inspect behavior, fine-tune them, and choose your own deployment stack. But open weights does not always mean fully open source. Training data, code, or license rights may still be restricted. Closed models take the other route. The provider keeps the weights and exposes the model through an app or API. You send a request, their servers return the result. That can be convenient and managed, but you depend on the provider for access, pricing, limits, and updates. The key question is control. Open weights give you more control over where and how the model runs. Closed models trade some of that control for managed access. Simple version, open weights come to your machine. Closed models stay with the provider. Coming next, quantization, making models smaller with lower precision numbers. Quantization makes a trained AI model smaller and faster by changing how its weights are stored. A model contains billions of learned weights. Think of each weight as a position on a number line. In a 32-bit model, that position is recorded with 32 binary digits, preserving very fine numerical steps. That detail uses memory and takes time to move through hardware. Quantization makes a deliberate choice. Represent the same weights with fewer bits. With 8-bit quantization, nearby 32-bit values are rounded to one of 256 levels. With 4-bit, they are rounded to one of just 16. The pattern remains, but each number takes less space. That is why lower bit models are lighter to load and faster to run. 8-bit weights need roughly 1/4 of the raw storage of 32-bit weights. 4-bit weights need 1/8. They also move through memory faster, so hardware can process more at once, but rounding removes precision. If two original weights land on the same lower precision level, their small difference disappears, while careful quantization preserves most useful behavior. Pushing too low can reduce answer quality or make sensitive layers unstable, so some methods use different scales or keep a few important weights at higher precision, but the overall result is a trade: less memory and faster inference in exchange for some numerical detail. Quantization does not teach new knowledge, it packs what the model already learned into fewer bits. Coming next, distillation, smaller models learning from larger ones.